many tenants are there in this building?
12 tenants.
Okay. And what is your role in the building?
I'm the on-site tattletale.
You're the on-site tattletale.
Pretty
You are
much.
not the property manager. You are not a super. You're just someone who's been there the longest.
This is the plaintiff, Richard Coleman. He says the defendant moved into the apartment complex he manages, and the unruly woman attacked him and injured him. This woman's nothing but trouble. He had a bump over his eye for more than 3 months, and her boyfriend slashed his tires. So he's owed big time. He's suing for $5,644.96, the amount he's owed. This is the defendant, Tasha Kennedy. She says the plaintiff is a busybody, old hermit type of guy, and he didn't like it when she had friends over for a visit. He pushed her one day as she tried to leave the building. So she pushed him back in self-defense, and she's not paying this crazy guy a penny. She's accused of losing it big time. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $3,290 for emotional distress and a rent rebate.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. All right. Mr. Coleman, you are suing Ms. Kennedy for $5,644.96 in medical expenses, ripped tires, and pain and suffering. Most of it, $5,000 for pain and suffering. You have a counterclaim against him for $3,290 for emotional distress and moving costs. What happened?
She lived upstairs above me.
Okay.
I had been having trouble with them upstairs, making a lot of noise, complaints from other tenants about the noise.
How many tenants are there in this building?
12 tenants.
Okay. And what is your role in the building?
I'm the on-site tattletale.
You're the on-site tattletale.
Pretty
you are
much.
not the property manager. You are not a super. You're just someone who's been there the longest, or?
I've known the owner of the building for about 30 years.
Okay. So go on.
She was moved into a bottom apartment in the beginning. Everything was good in the beginning, but she asked for a doorbell, and I said, okay, I'll give you a doorbell. We'll put it on the back door entrance.
Okay, but how is it that why are you asking him for a doorbell? Had you ever been told that he was somebody there?
I was told that he was the manager of the building, as far as in he keeps the bathrooms clean, and he
Are there common
just
bathrooms
watches
in the building? Oh, you mean the
building.
bathrooms in each of the units?
Yeah,
Okay.
the bathrooms. No, there's a shared bathroom.
Oh, there is a shared bathroom.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's one upstairs and downstairs. So he's just pretty much watches the grounds, or just keeps care of the building, is what I
Okay.
was.
Do you have your own apartment there, or no?
I do.
But there's no bathroom in it?
Right, it's a shared. There's only like 12 people in there, and there's top floor and the bottom floor, and there's like, maybe 4 to each bathroom, or 5 to
Okay.
each bathroom.
All right.
It's a shared bathroom.
Okay. All right. So go on.
I caught him one day dealing drugs, and so I
You caught who dealing drugs?
Ryan right there.
The gentleman with her, Ryan.
Yeah.
And how did you catch him dealing drugs?
On the video, you'll see I have a camera that points right down in the doorway.
Uh-huh.
And I got another one behind me that points towards the entryway of the front.
Do you have video of him dealing drugs?
Yes, I do. No, not of dealing drugs. No,
Oh,
that's why I
okay.
just had
So
a trespass.
according to you, you saw what in the camera?
I saw him put something in somebody's hand, take some money. And there was another
Do you
person.
know what he put in the person's hand?
No, I couldn't make it out. It was pretty small.
Why do you make the statement that he was dealing drugs if you didn't see that they were drugs?
It was a little plastic thing that he stuck in his hand.
So you kind of assumed that he was dealing drugs.
Oh, yeah, because
And
they
then
do it.
said or did what? What'd you do?
And I told him, I said, Ryan, I said, you can't do that. And I said, I want you out of here. And I told her.
You told who I want you out of here?
I told Ryan I wanted him out of there.
Okay, was he living there?
He was pretty much.
Okay.
And he wasn't on the
And on
lease.
whose authority did you tell him that he could not, because she's paying rent,
Right.
and he is her guest, so being the guy who fixes the toilets doesn't give you the authority to tell somebody they can't be on the property.
No, I got 34 years clean and sober off of drugs and alcohol. And, so do a lot of the people in the owner of the building.
No, you don't have to explain to me why you, let's assume he's dealing drugs. You don't need
Okay.
to explain to me why you want somebody dealing drugs off. That's not the question. The question is, there's a protocol. Like, some people have the right to tell him not to be on that property and some people don't. And if all you are the local tattletale, and because you know the landlord because you've been there the longest, that's not the same as having the authority to tell her who she can and can't have there. The protocol would be for you to tell the landlord and the landlord to deal with her.
I did tell the landlord.
But he didn't do anything. The landlord didn't do anything, right?
No, they didn't.
All right, so go on.
The only reason that I had him trespassed off.
When
is
you
the
say you
fact
had,
that I
okay,
didn't
stop. When you say I had him trespassed off, you referring to Ryan?
I'm turning to Ryan, yeah.
Okay, I had him trespassed off. What does that phrase mean?
That means that he was escorted off the property because
By
he
whom?
wasn't by a police officer.
Okay,
The same police officer that came back when her and I got into the scuttle with the arm, the head, and all that.
okay.
She says, okay.
Were you
trespass.
escorted off the property by the police, Ryan?
I never got trespassed off the property before.
Did the police ever escort you off the property?
Never. They never said anything. They
Okay,
said it one
go
time.
on.
All of a sudden, about not even an hour after she came to the house, and she come and the first thing you see on the video is she just right up in my face. I'm standing in the door and she's got the camera right down looking at her, and you just see her just ranting. And I keep saying, don't bring him in here because he has just been trespassed and he will go to jail. The police officers were ready
Except
to go
for none
get-
of that's true, right?
It is true.
How did you have him
I said trespass. I'm sorry.
No, how would he go to jail? Why can't he go in there? Because you say so, but you're just the building
because
tattletale. You're not by your own words.
Okay.
You're not the property manager. You're not the owner.
Okay. Well, every time that I had to write her up, there's more write-ups, and you have them in your desk. She always argued about it. Oh, my guests don't do that. The dogs don't do that, because he'd let his dogs run the hall upstairs.
I'm just so desperately trying to find out how you think that you're the sheriff in town when you're saying, I just had him trespass and he can't come in here. And she's paying rent and she's like, the hell he can't. He's my guest. According to you, why is he spending so much time at your house?
Because he has cancer, and when he goes and gets chemotherapy, the hospital's closer to my house, and I like to stay with him when he has his chemo because I don't want him to be sick by himself.
And what is the relationship between you two?
He's my best friend.
Friend.
Okay, how long have you two known each other?
20 years over, probably more. Okay. And he's just he's got, and I want to make sure that he's okay when he does his chemo. That's
Okay.
all.
How often has Mr. Coleman, he says, written you up? What does that mean? What's?
Oh, he writes me
How
up
long
for
were you living
everything.
there? Are you still living there? No, right?
No, I moved
right,
out.
Okay. Well, how long were you living there?
About a year, a little over a year.
Okay.
And for everything, because I'm a social girl. I have friends. I come in and out. He pretty much stays in his apartment all the time. So to him, I had a lot of activity. But I didn't really. I mean, I would come in late.
Did the
because-
landlord ever say anything to you?
No.
Did the management
Never.
company ever say anything
Never.
to you? So it's just your neighbor complaining?
Just him downstairs, yes.
Okay. And when he would say something to you, what would you say back to him?
I would argue back because I feel like that he has no right to tell me. I did have a boyfriend that came there that did cause some problems, and I broke up with him. He's off the property. He didn't come back. But everybody that came over after that, he accused of being him all the time. Is that him up in your apartment? He'd send the cops up to my house to see, and it would be a coworker, and I'd be just completely embarrassed. And
The problem with the boyfriend was domestic violence?
It was, and he's gone. And I agree with that. I totally agreed, and so that's fine. But Ryan, he has no right to pick on Ryan. He just doesn't like Ryan for some reason.
Why doesn't he like Ryan? He
I
says
don't
he doesn't
know.
like Ryan because Ryan was dealing drugs in your apartment.
No, I don't know why he doesn't like Ryan. He just doesn't like him. I mean, Ryan's a likable guy.
Ryan, can I ask you a question? Were you selling something?
I wasn't selling anything. I gave somebody money to give me a pack of cigarettes, which was a guy.
So that's what he saw on the video.
That's what he saw on the video.
All right. So let's talk about the day in question.
Well, she came in the videos. You'll see it. She'll come in from the right.
Hold on. Go
She'll
ahead.
come in from the right on the video. She'll go and, get right in front of me. She's hollering, and she grabs me and grabs my arm and tries to jerk me out of the doorway. And then that's when we both went down. Then you can see where she goes back up. We both get up, and I stand back in the doorway. And then towards the end of the video, you can see her just rush into me.
So was she trying to push you out of her way so she can get in?
The first time, she grabbed my arm, tried to drag me out of the way. And the second time, she grabbed him, and you can see him bring him over to the front door. And then that's when all of a sudden, boom, I had something hit me over the head. And
Wait, what hit you over the head?
well, I think it was either her phone or her keys, one to the other, but it hit me right here.
Okay.
Okay. And she started to swing again, and I put my hand up to catch her arm so she wouldn't hit me. And her arm came down and hit my thumb and just bent it. like
Okay, so what happened to your thumb?
The doctor said it's called player's thumb. A lot of baseball players, bends that thing back, and it takes a while for it to heal because your muscle is stretched.
All right, you're also suing for monies to replace front tires. Who do you think slashed your tires?
It was Mason. I know it was Mason.
Okay,
I
so
could see
but
the
why
way-
would she have to pay for Mason slashing your tires?
Because that's how she works. They work. There's always retaliation.
I don't understand. If
Okay.
if you know who slashed your tires because you saw them on video, go to the police and have that person arrested. That wouldn't make her legally responsible to pay for your tires. That someone who she dumped slashed your tires.
Well, she says she dumps
Okay.
him, but she still hangs out with him.
Yeah, it's still. If he was her greatest love of the earth and she was hanging out with him the second, that wouldn't make her responsible. All right, and the pain and suffering. What pain and suffering has been? Tell me about the pain and suffering.
Well, the day after, right after this happened, I went right up to the emergency room, and my hand was all swelled up. You got pictures of that back there, and the big bump on my head was where she hit me on there, on the head. So that's what was taken
Well, actually,
care of.
and before that happens, you wait for the police,
I waited
right?
for the police.
And do the police arrest anybody?
No, I asked him not to. I just wanted him not to come in the building.
Okay,
and
but
deal
hold
drugs.
on. You asked them not to, or you showed them the video and argued that they should arrest her?
Well, I didn't order. I just didn't want him arrested. I just wanted
Did you
to keep
show the
him-
police the video and
Yes.
ask them to arrest her?
I didn't ask him to arrest him.
Okay. Let me hear your version of what happens, and then we'll see the video.
Okay, we came back from chemo, and we were trying to get into the building. He wasn't feeling good, and he wouldn't let him in. And I was trying to get in the door from what I can remember, and I know that he shoved me back. I fell down on the ground, and then my friend Katrina was there and him, and they were like, whoa, and I couldn't believe it, and I got up and I started bum rushing the door trying to get in because then there was a big scuffle, and then the next day I seen him, and he's like, look what you're paying for, and he holds up his hand, and I was just like...
Okay, so when the police get there, what happens with the police?
The police came and I told them, go ahead and look at the video, and you can see who's clearly threw me. He threw me down, and Ryan left peacefully on his own. He didn't want any problems, so he just left. And it was like wasn't it really hot that day? It was like 100 degrees outside. He just had chemo, and he's outside sitting in the sun because he won't let him in the apartment. And so the police came upstairs. They said, well, it's kind of fuzzy, the video. That's all they said to me. And they said, do you want to press charges? And I said no, and that was that.
Okay.
And then I decided I would just move out.
So tell me about the move. What happens? Because you have a counterclaim for your moving costs. Go ahead.
The owner of the building came to me and said, hey, I'm going to give you a deposit back. I'm going to give you 2 months the last month's free rent, and I'm not going to give you eviction. You just go ahead and go peacefully, because I was assuming, because I probably could have sued him because he
Did he make you sign a release?
No, he just, and then he gave me my deposit back, my check, and then but then until I found another place to live, I had to stay in my truck. I had to pay first and last of a new place.
How long? Okay, he told you he would give you all that if you left. How soon?
I didn't really have, we didn't have a time amount, but I mean, with Ryan not being able to go in the building.
So why were you sleeping in the car then? If he didn't give you a time amount, why didn't you just stay there?
Because I wanted to get out. Well,
Okay,
no, I guess
okay.
he did give me a time. He did say if you'd be out by the end of the month. That's what he said. That's right.
Okay,
That's
and
fine.
what day did all this stuff happen?
Oh, I don't remember the exact date, but I had to be out by the end of the month.
Right, but what day did this happen, Mr. Coleman?
It happened on the 14th of August.
Okay, so you had 2 weeks. So then, all right, so he gives you 3 months, right? The security deposit in 2 months?
And well, I didn't have to pay rent for the last 2 months because I hadn't paid rent in the last 2 months.
You were
I was
behind
already.
Okay.
So he said we'll squash those, and he said and he gave my security deposit back. But then I had to find another place. I had to pay first and last, and I had to, and just having me.
Yeah, but that was a decision that you made. You didn't want to stay there anymore. You took the deal, and so why would he have to pay your moving costs?
I don't know. I just
threw it in there. All right, let's look at the video.
You see the picture on the left.
Top left?
The top left, you'll see where Ryan, she's calling him right now, and he's going to come in on the film on the left.
The picture on the top right is a picture of her?
Of her, yes.
What are you wearing?
I work at a gas station.
Okay, so you're wearing like the neon whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to see the action on all 4 cameras at the same time when I press play.
Okay.
So
She's
she is in the
calling
top saying, Ryan, come, Ryan, come.
Right.
This is your other friend.
Yeah, she was in my apartment.
And she's hollering at me, I'm bringing Ryan in here, what'd you do? And it's like, okay. And
so now you are standing blocking the one way she has to get in, right?
the one way he had to get in, she can
Both
come in
of
anytime.
us.
She or he or anyone else who needs to live there.
Yeah, they can come in.
And you're telling her your guest can't come in.
That's what I said. You see, she's right up in my face right there.
No, I'm saying you can't tell me not coming in because he just had chemo. He has to come in. He's sick.
And that's you on the top right yelling at him, and that's him.
Yeah, he was going to leave, but I told him, no, it's 100 degrees out. You're not going out there like that.
Gotcha. Then you
call
go into that
911.
other, and she's pulling. Poor Ryan. Ryan doesn't have enough problems.
He's trying to be nice.
There's where she charged the first time. And that's
Okay.
where we both went down.
No, he was
All
shutting
right,
me down.
stop. Let's look at that one more time.
There she is.
That's the one where she drags my arm and we both go down.
Shoved me.
Well, I mean, you kind of are pushing your way through in order to get in, but like I can see that on the top right.
He shouldn't be helping me.
Right there. That's the one where she drags
You're
my
pushing
arm.
to move him back so that you can get in and Ryan can get in, and then he, according to you, what I see on the bottom is him shoving up against you, and that's why you both knocked down. So let's look at the bottom again.
That's the one where she drags my arm and we both go down.
Did you ever grab his arm? Because I don't see anywhere where you're grabbing his arm in this video. If she grabbed your arm rather than you rushed back at her and fell on her, why don't I see that in the video, Mr. Coleman?
Well, there's probably just a little bit of distance between her and me and the door. You can see my hands.
Yeah, get out of the doorway. All right, so here we are. Now I guess you're calling the police, right?
Right.
On the
I'm trying
bottom
to-
right.
My phone won't work.
She's yelling. She's trying to get poor Ryan in there. Poor Ryan's tapping her on the shoulder saying...
I'll just leave. He's saying, I'll just leave.
And then this video is what the subject of this big dispute is.
See, there's where she hit. Boom, there's the first swing. Lordy, lordy. And I'm just trying to get out of there. See, there's where she hit. Boom, there's the first
What'd you do?
swing.
You punch her in the face when
Lordy,
she
lordy.
hit you?
And No, I'm just I trying tried to
Cell
block
phone
her
on top of
hand.
my head.
I tried to block her there's where hand. she-
Block her hand? No, you hit her back.
I was trying to get my hand loose from under her arm.
Why don't you just go in your apartment and call the landlord or the property manager or the police or whatever you want to do? Why
Yeah,
are
but-
you blocking the woman's entrance into her house when she has a cancer patient who just had chemotherapy who she doesn't want out in the hot sun?
You have
What did the police do? The police said they couldn't tell who was the initial aggressor from looking at the video, right?
Right. They just saw the 3 pictures and not the big one. I went and
The
copied
big
that.
one is just the same thing, bigger. They
Yeah.
saw that. They saw anything you had to show them, and they refused to arrest her because they couldn't tell who the aggressor was, right? When they heard the whole story.
Well, I was just trying to get him escorted and get her straightened out. The fact that
Did you know that he had just come from chemotherapy?
No, she just said.
Let me hear from you, Ryan.
Yes, she did.
And what did he say?
He said, I don't care. You get out of here.
Yeah. Mr. Coleman, based on the evidence that I'm hearing, I am not going to order anyone to pay you anything. You're also not entitled to the emotional distress. Now, I know you filed it because you're angry and because he filed against you. Good riddance. I'm glad you're out of that place. And I think you're right that the owner probably gave you that deal because he just didn't want any more problems and he knows him better and he doesn't want to have issues or for whatever reason. You, sir, are not the boss of people because you've been around a long time. I don't know why you think you're the grand poobah of the place, but unless somebody gives you the authority, if I was the owner, I would have taken you out and not her, because you are the one who's going to cause me civil liability. But hey, if you're tight with the owner and that's good for you. Or have the owner give you, I trespassed him. I don't know what you're talking about. The woman is paying rent and she has a right to bring him into her apartment. On these facts, I am not going to award you a penny. I can't tell who was the aggressor either.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff fails in his effort to get $5,000 from the defendant in this case. Let's see what he has to say about it. Mr. Coleman, what are you thinking?
Well, I got to go with the judge, but I've known the owner of the building for 35 years. We, protect each other's interests is what we do. And, it's okay that I lost, that's just the way it is, But, I'm glad that she's not in the building anymore, which is nice, but I still look for retaliation from her boyfriend. So that's all. I'm looking for that when I get home.
All right. Well, as the judge says, you're not the sheriff in town, So you really had no right to do any of that in the beginning. So that's why you didn't prevail.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All right. Let's see what the defendant has to say about this. Ms. Kennedy, you're out of it. I'm sure you're glad you didn't have to pay him any money, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, it's really kind of a crazy situation. You must have been really tough living in that apartment with 12 other people and sharing bathrooms.
Oh,
How did that work?
Yeah. I don't live there anymore, though. I live in a better place, so I'm good.
Yeah, all right. Well, good luck to you. Good enough. All right. So this dispute comes to an end. Harvey, what are your thoughts?
In most cases, Doug, the judge can figure out who started a fight, who the aggressor was, and who was simply using self-defense. Sometimes you just can't figure it out, and it looks like mutual combat, so nobody wins. That's what happened here.
Can you settle an argument? A coworker says that cops can't give you a ticket in a parking lot because it's private property. I say that they can on certain circumstances. Who is right?
I'm going to go with the friend who says they can under certain circumstances. Yeah. Because, all of us have gotten tickets, I think, sometimes maybe parked in the church parking lot or at a shopping center. You can get them.
Right.
If you have an inspection requirement in your state and that's expired, and somebody can just look at your tag and see that the sticker's outdated or is missing or something like that, and a police officer can walk right into your driveway and see. He saw it from the street. He can walk right over and put the ticket on your windshield, right, where your car sits, and it's going to stick.
But even if he saw it because he happened to have business in the mall, right, I think he can still do that. Right. Doesn't matter where you are. If it's expired, it's expired. You don't have. Right. I just think when it's. I think that why the other person's saying that is it's not like improper parking, right, unless, right, there's an agreement between the owners of the shopping center and local law enforcement. Right. I got a ticket once for parking in a compact vehicle space. Ooh. On a private parking area.
Really?
The Whole Foods.
And it didn't say city of or anything on there?
No, it sure did say that.
It did,
I paid the ticket. I did. I was a big fat Pacifica parked in a compact because there's no parking there. And I really wanted whatever it was I was getting.
So what a scofflaw. You just parked
I immediately paid. I paid the ticket.
You took your lump.
But I got my ticket.
You shouldn't have been in that space.
I shouldn't have been in that space. It said compact.
How about that?
Yeah, I don't think I told you about that.
I'll have to remember that. Mm.
This is the plaintiff, Robert Bellavie. He says the defendants hired him to take down their old drapes, clean, and reinstall them. He started the work. Then they tried to back out of the deal. Now they refuse to pay him. He can't let them get away with ripping him off like this, and is suing them for the $1,294.39 he's owed. These are the defendants, Mary and Vernon. Mary says they agreed to do the cleaning of the drapes, but did not agree to replacing the very costly linings. They had an uneasy feeling about this guy. They feel he's ripping them off and committing elder abuse because they checked around, and this guy's charging them almost 10 times the normal amount for this type of work. Owe him more money? No way. They're accused of calling it curtains.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says that he was hired to clean the defendant's drapes. They are now pleading poverty, saying they can't pay, but that's not going to cut it for him. Now, the defendants say that they were taken advantage of by the plaintiff because they're old, they were grossly overcharged, so they ain't paying the guy. It's the case of, it's curtains for you, buddy.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Bellavy, what do you do for a living? You own a drapery cleaners company?
Drapery cleaning service, yes.
And what is it you do?
I go to people's homes, offices, commercial places, and I take their window treatments down, clean them, press them, bring it back, and reinstall them.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
Over 30 years.
Okay.
So back in mid-November last year, I received a call from Mary inquiring about my service. I told her I would come out to her home. I would measure her window treatments, inspect them, give her a quote. If she was comfortable with the quote, I could take them down the same day. At that point, she wanted to make an appointment. So on 19th of November, I arrived at Mary's home. I measured 2 full-length custom pleated lined draperies, and as I inspected them, I noticed that the lining was very heavily damaged with sun rot. I showed Mary the sun rot damage, and I told her that the linings probably would not survive the cleaning. However, the actual drapery material would probably come out okay. We also discussed the option. I could either have the linings replaced, or I could, at no charge, cut the existing lining out, and she would still have draperies for probably about another 10 years at least.
Without lining?
Yeah, without the lining unlined. So I gave her a price for cleaning and pressing, as well as the cost of installing new linings.
And what was the price that you gave her?
So the price for the linings was $1,380.
And without the lining?
Just a clean and press was $862.40.
Plus what?
Plus tax.
Okay, and that's how you come up with the
would-
$931.39?
Yes.
Okay. So does she say yes?
She agreed to have me clean and press the draperies, but not to replace the linings.
Okay.
So she then signed the contract. I took her drapes down and I left.
Okay, let me see the contract that she signed. Yeah. Is this her signature on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay. And then what happens? When do you hear from her?
I received a call from the defendant telling me to hold off on the draperies.
Okay.
I told her that the drapes are already cleaned and pressed, and as I suspected, the linings shredded in numerous different places. I told her the front material, the draperies, they came out great. They cleaned and pressed great. She told me that she didn't know how she wanted to proceed and to hold on to the drapes. So then almost 2 weeks later, on December 3rd, I called Mary and I left a message for her to please contact me to let me know when I can deliver her draperies back. She didn't return the call.
Had you been paid anything at that point?
No, I don't take any deposits or anything.
How come?
Because 99% of the time people want their draperies back. I mean, I've got thousands of dollars worth of window treatments and, they just want them back. So,
yeah. All right, go on.
So then on December 6th, I left another voice message asking her to please contact me so we can arrange a day and time for me to bring her window treatments back. She didn't call me back either. So then on December 10th, I sent her the demand for payment letter, giving her 10 days. On December 20th, I received a voice message and an email from an attorney. So the next day on December 21st,
Wait, what did the attorney say?
He informed me that the defendant wanted to settle, but only for $400.
Wait, but had she, wait, before the attorney gets involved, had she ever said to you, hey, this is overpriced, I've checked around town, you're charging me? Had you had any conversation with her since the day you took down her drapes? Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, and I tried to. I reached out to her two times and then with the letter.
Let me hear from you. Okay, let's put a pin there 1 second. You still have the drapes, right?
Yes.
And you've been paid $0.
Right.
Okay, Ms. Mary, let me hear from you.
Okay. As you can see, the plaintiff is a very good talker, and he persuaded me to sign this exorbitantly high dry cleaning quote, which indicated that the drapes wouldn't be ready for another 10 days.
How did he persuade you? By being a good salesman?
Yeah, I'd say very good salesman. And he offered all this kind of advice, and he actually stood over me while I signed the estimate and kept chatting and talking the whole time about some unrelated things as well. So I felt obligated. You know, he'd come to I called, asked him for an estimate on the phone, but he refused. He said, no, I have to come to your house. So I said, okay, when can you come? He said, I can come tomorrow. I said, all right. So he came out, and then he measured the drapes and did the things that he said he did.
Okay, so what's the problem?
I was nervous because I thought it was high to begin with. And he was telling me all the reasons why he charges so much for the dry cleaning. He said, well, I dry clean the drapes in a machine all by themselves, so you don't have to worry about being with other people's material. And he said that we pleat the drapes. You know, we take very good care and do all these things. He was just making up all these reasons why his price was as high as it was.
How do you know he's making those reasons up?
Oh, I don't. Well, he's not making them up. He's telling me them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So from what I'm hearing, from what you're saying, he is telling you this is my service and this is what I charge, and you say yes. And so where's the problem? Like, how were you taken advantage of?
Well, the problem was that I said yes too quickly. I think that I get nervous and confused sometimes, and I felt obligated. I mean, he was very nice. He acted very nice, but he just...
Oh, that was sneaky of you, Mr. Bellavy. All right. So what happened, Ms. Mary? You just made some phone calls that you should have made beforehand, and you found prices that were cheaper?
Exactly.
Okay. How is that anything other than a you problem for not being educated before you entered into a contract?
Well,
I mean, you even call it like elder abuse and stuff. Come on. Seriously? How old are you? Because I don't think we're that different in age.
I'll be 75 in 2 weeks.
Oh, man, you look good. All right. Heaven bless you. You look like you're 30. All right. Yeah. I mean, you're a smart woman. You're not foolish. You're just trying to not have to pay the guy so much because you feel like it's too much. But that's different from being taken advantage of. Just by virtue of the fact that you're 75, that doesn't mean you can't, heaven forbid, that society say you're too stupid to enter into a contract. You're not wise enough. You're a protected class. We got to take care of you because some people are preying on you. You know, come on. You know how to enter contracts, break contracts. You even know how to call a lawyer to try to break the contract. According to you, Ms. Mary, you found prices that were cheaper, and what were those prices?
Exactly. I found estimates from 4 other dry cleaners in town. Mm-hmm. 2 of them quoted to clean and pleat the drapes the same as Robert did. One was for $136, 7 times lower than his. Another quoted $60 to clean and pleat.
Right, but what about taking them down and putting them back up and all that work?
Right.
Right, because you could have taken them down yourself and sent them to a cleaner's and it would have been $100 or whatever. I get that. But why, how about all the other job entailed, which is, getting them up, getting them to look right, making sure the pleats fall. I mean, why didn't you call all those places before you hired him?
Well, that's the problem.
But whose problem is it? What's going on here now? What is your game plan here?
Well, the game plan is that I hope to convince, or at least reach a more reasonable settlement.
Okay, the irony is that you're the one who's being the bully. Like, you imply that he's being a bully because he's sticking to a contract you agreed to. Meanwhile, you've held him hostage with you haven't paid him a penny. He already took down the stuff. He already cleaned the stuff. He already pleated the stuff. He'd like to get paid, and you're the one hiring lawyers and to fight with him to, now, we got to change our contract. No, that's kind of the whole point of a contract. So now you've left it in my hands to decide whether this is an enforceable contract. There is nothing unconscionable about this contract. The man provides a service. He told her what it was. Oh, he was standing over me when I signed it. Don't sign it, okay? You know how to call other people and get other prices. The guy comes, he gives you a quote. He can take him down that day if you like the quote. You liked the quote. You signed the contract and you wanted the job done. It's just that somehow later, someone started calling other people thinking it was high. I have a hunch it maybe wasn't you. And then all of a sudden you're getting these other quotes. Oh, it's only $60 to dry clean. Yeah, you know what dry cleaning costs if you are the one getting on a ladder and having your life in your hands and then bringing all that stuff down. My verdict in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,294.39. That is what it costs now in storage and in the contract you agreed to, which is my job to enforce unless there's a legal reason not to. And I have heard nothing that even remotely resembles a legal reason not to. You just have buyer's remorse. You wish you had shopped more before you signed a contract. And if I let you out of your contract, I got to let the rest of America out of theirs. And that's not what this is about. Verdict for the plaintiff, $1,294.39.
Thanks, Your Honor.
So the plaintiff does indeed prevail in this case. No question about that. How do you feel about the judge's decision? What do you think?
Well, naturally, I'm disappointed, but I'm also glad that the whole thing's over because it caused me a lot of stress for many months and sleepless nights and regret. So
well, you know, you could have alleviated all of that by paying him and getting your drapes back, and they'd be hanging in your house right now and looking beautiful. Mr. Bellavie, I don't think you've been having sleepless nights over this, have you?
No, I'm just tired of looking at her drapes for one thing. But, you know, I'm like the least pressure guy around. I told her, you know, if you want to think about it, but she insisted to have them cleaned, so...
All right, sir. Well, obviously, you provide a great service, and you deserve to be paid. And you are. You have prevailed. You're going to get your money, all $1,294 of it. So good luck to you. All right? Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Yeah, great being on here. It's been a true honor.
All right, indeed.
Okay, Doug, look, the defendants say that, you know, the plaintiff was charging so much. In the law, we call it's unconscionable. The judge just said it wasn't. To prove that something is unconscionable, it really has to shock the conscience. It can't just be a bad deal. People make bad deals all the time, and judges don't undo them.
Is texting back and forth a type of written agreement or contract between parties, like reviewing agreements with landscapers or handymen and the like?
It can be. Because, you know, a contract can be oral or written.
Right.
And if you don't have like a formal written contract, then what a judge next looks at is what's the best evidence of an agreement between the parties.
And if it's in writing,
yeah.
Contract, right.
Then
the writings, the exchanges can be evidence of the contract.
They're the best evidence of
or there might be an outright
agreement
contract. An offer and then an acceptance with a price.
I mean, either way, whether you call that a written contract or not a written contract, it'll be the best evidence of the agreement between the parties.
Right.
It's going to cost you X for me to do Y.
Right.
And you're going to be hard-pressed to later say, I was supposed to do Z and B and C, you know, when all the agreement was Y, you know. So, yeah, they're great. Texts are great. Texts are just...
It's been a revolution for
judges. A revolution for judges.
Especially then, trying to look at these oral agreements where, you know...
And then you find, you know, is it a loan, is it a gift? Oh, I'll pay you. I'm so grateful for you fronting me the money. You know, like you'll just find the evidence of what in the past it used to be just a he said, she said, or a she said, or whatever. You know, you'd sit there and you'd try to figure out who's the liar. Now you've got the evidence in the text. So I push for that all the time because that's usually the best evidence before the lawsuit brews.
That'll do it for this session of the People's Court. See ya.